Now, a lot of the recent developments, basically, including the World Economic Forum and the Netherlands, all of this seem to have come about in terms of them launching these programs in 2021 at the UN Food System Summit. That seemed to be like kind of the launch pad for a lot of what we're seeing happening right now. 2021, the UN Food System Summit. And then let me actually show you the actual website of the Food System Summit 2021. September 23rd. Here you go. The UN Food System Summit, further, and it says this, will serve as a historic opportunity to empower all people to leverage the power of food systems to drive a recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and get us back on track to achieve all 17 sustainable development goals by 2030. Again, Agenda 2030, the 17 sustainable development goals, and leveraging, and the exact words, to leverage the power of the food system to do that. That's what they're using the food for. That's the agenda with food, to leverage the power of the food system in order to achieve these 17 goals of Agenda 2030, the SDGs, or SDGs. It says, over the past 18 months, the summit has brought together all UN members, United Nations, and constituencies around the world, including thousands of youth, food producers, indigenous peoples, civil society, researchers, private sector, and the UN system, to bring about tangible, positive changes to the world's food system. As a people's summit, and a solution summit, it is recognized that everyone everywhere must take action and work together to transform the way the world produces, consumes, and thinks about food. The summit will culminate this inclusive global process, offering a catalytic moment for public mobilization and actionable commitments by heads of state and governments and other consultancy leaders to take this agenda forward. Through this People's Summit, the UN will reaffirm its commitment to promote human rights for all and ensure everyone everywhere has the opportunity to participate. Whether you like it or not, apparently, you're going to be participating in terms of how they're rolling this out. They say the event is open to all through its virtual program and platform. Let me show you this now. This is the Food System Summit and SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. Again, from the United Nations website. Because remember, they keep talking about these SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. What are the Sustainable Development Goals? Well, I'm going to show you right now. This is unitednations.org, un.org. Here you go, folks. From their summit, the exact one where WEF launched its programs, where the government of Netherlands launched its programs. Again, you're watching the protests right now in the Netherlands. This is where it started. And these goals include, among many, there's 17 of them, ending poverty and hunger, making food with, quote, adequate nutrition, education, gender equality, reducing inequities. That's equity, not equality, I should note. Industry innovation, alternate energy, fighting climate change, etc. Sustainable cities and communities, climate action, partnerships, so on. And remember, they're saying that they want to leverage the power of food to do this. How do you leverage the power of food if you don't control it? Well, you need to create policies that give you control over it. And we see them now doing that. And as they're creating policies to control it, to leverage the power of food to achieve these goals, they're also simultaneously using their different puppets, different stakeholders, we'll call them, to buy up the industries, to gain control of the industries. Now, this is the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Again, straight from the horse's mouth, folks. Under their SDG programs, again. This is on transforming our world, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This isn't rumor. This is their actual website on it. I'll go over a few of these. Goal number 2, end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. They say by 2030, end hunger, and ensure access by all people, in particular the poor and people in vulnerable situations, including infants, to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food all year round. Now, what happens between now and 2030? Because between 2022 and 2025, they say that's the next stage of it. And funny enough, they're doing the opposite of this. They're starving people, they're creating famine, and they're destroying our food security. Funny, right? Seems to be going the opposite way. Part of this as well, right? By 2030, end hunger and ensure access by all people, in particular the poor and people in vulnerable situations, so on. By 2030, end all forms of malnutrition, including achieving by 2025 the internationally agreed targets on stunting and wasting in children under 5 years of age, and address the nutritional needs of adolescent girls, pregnant and lactating women, and older persons. By 2030, double the agricultural productivity and incomes of small-scale food producers, in particular women, indigenous people, family farmers, pastoralists, and fishers, including through secure and equal access to land, other productive resources and inputs, so on and so on. I won't go over all these. We went over the broader picture of it. What does this really mean? What do these goals really mean? Like, what are they really about? Well, I'm going to tell you. When they say ending poverty, what they mean, folks, is global welfare programs. What they mean is food stamps, housing subsidies, handouts, which means dependence on a massive government. They want to create global communist policies, essentially. The same types of policies you saw under the, war against poverty here in the United States, which ironically made poverty worse here in the United States. When they say ending hunger, what do they mean by that? Well, here's what they mean. They mean genetically modified foods. They mean government control of food. They mean bug meats, which I'm not even joking. I'm going to show you again. They mean lab-grown meats. Think Monsanto, what they do, just on a global scale, and having essentially a massive monopoly on farming, agriculture, and food security. That's what that means. When they say healthy lives, what do they mean? These are all SDG goals. SDG, right? Social, these development goals we're talking about, right? Healthy lives, sustainable development goals. Universal vaccines, health screenings, prevention programs, same types of things we see under, being done under health. That's what they mean by that. When they say they want to make sure that people are healthy, they want to ensure the health of all citizens. That means like Fauci type stuff. That means they want to make sure you don't have body autonomy. They need to make the health decisions for you. That's what that really means. When they talk about race and gender equality, what they mean is basically critical theory on race, on gender. What they mean is feminist policy and race policy, like we see in the United States, dividing people, going global. That's what they mean. When they talk about water sanitation and management, they mean corporate and government monopoly over water, like what the U.S. does already right now, where even if you're a farmer and you have a puddle on your land, that is considered a government-regulated water system. You can't even, gather rainwater in some areas, for example, because of these programs. They want to control water. Affordable and sustainable energy sounds great. What does that mean? Anti-gas, anti-coal, green agenda going global, like what you have in Germany right now, where if a crisis hits you, suddenly you have to ration out electricity. Like Canada's having the same thing. It means basically reliance on these unreliable systems. And of course, killing off gas, causing prices to skyrocket like we're seeing in the United States. That's what they're talking about. When they say sustainable economic growth, what do they mean? They mean deeper regulations that will push small businesses out of the market, right? Sustained economic growth. How do you sustain the growth of an economy? How do you sustain that? You manage it. You control it. You make it so that government subsidies and interventionism controls everything, and you have corporate dominance of the whole system. Fascism, basically. They talk about make cities and communities safe and resilient. What do they mean? They mean banning guns. That's what they mean. They mean eliminating single-family homes, like they had in the Green New Deal. They mean urbanization of everything, consolidating communities into these, housing complexes. That's the vision. And it's something they're already rolling out as well when it comes to, where they identify like different housing zones and so on in the US. They're eliminating the single family homes. That's part of the goal in the US, and that's also a global program. Now, there's a lot of other ones, but essentially what they're talking about is global communism. That's what Agenda 2030 is at its roots. And like all communist systems, they always use the idea of, for the people, for the health and welfare of the people, for, equality and these types of things. And that's not what it does at all. And frankly, they're trying to take what happened under the Soviet Union, under the Chinese Communist Party, and make that the global regulated policy under the UN programs. And food, again, is what they want to leverage for that. In the exact words of the UN, leveraging the power of food for this.